The first thing Marcus said when he opened the door was, "You're late. Get inside before the neighbors start asking questions." He thought I was my brother. He thought the man standing on his porch in the rain was the same broken man he'd spent 3 years systematically destroying, financially, emotionally, piece by piece. He thought he still held every card in the deck. What Marcus didn't know was that I'd spent 22 years as a Navy SEAL. And what happened over the next few weeks would change all of our lives forever. My name is Daniel Reyes. At the time of this story, I was a SEAL chief stationed near Norfolk, Virginia. I'd spent most of my adult life solving problems in places that didn't make the evening news. I thought I'd seen the worst people could do to each other. I was wrong. It started on a freezing Tuesday night. I was driving back from base, exhausted, fighting one of those brutal Virginia storms that turns every highway into a river. I stopped for gas at a lonely station outside Norfolk. That's when I saw him. My twin brother, Carlos, was sitting on a metal bench beneath the overhang, soaked through, both hands wrapped around a paper cup of coffee that had long gone cold. His face looked like a man who had forgotten what safety felt like. I almost didn't recognize him, not because of the rain, because of the look in his eyes. I crossed the lot in 5 seconds. "Carlos." He looked up. When he saw me, something cracked open in his expression. "Danny." That one word, the way he said it, hit me somewhere deep. I crouched beside him. "Talk to me. What happened?" He tried to answer. Instead, he stared at the pavement. Then quietly he said it. "Marcus threw me out." I went still. "What?" Carlos swallowed hard. "I found out about the money. The hidden accounts." I confronted him, and he laughed at me, Danny. Actually laughed. So I should be grateful he kept me around this long. He paused. 3 days later, he changed all the passwords, froze the joint accounts, and today he packed a bag and told me to leave. I looked at my brother, a man who had put Marcus through grad school, who had worked double shifts while Marcus built a business, who had signed documents he probably never should have trusted, sitting in the rain with nowhere to go. Something settled inside me. Not rage. Something colder, steadier. The feeling that appears when a mission becomes non-negotiable. "You're not sleeping here tonight," I said. "I don't want to be a burden." "Carlos." I looked him in the eye. "If our positions were reversed, you'd already have me in the car." He didn't argue after that. I drove him to Tom and Linda's place, old military friends who had always kept their door open. Within an hour, Carlos had dry clothes, a hot meal, and a bed. I watched the tension drain from his shoulders and made a quiet decision. Marcus had never met me in person. He'd seen photos. Carlos and I are nearly identical, but we'd never been in the same room. And Marcus believed my brother had nowhere to turn. No support, no plan, no one paying attention. That was his first mistake. I borrowed Carlos's jacket, picked up his phone, and drove back to the house Marcus now occupied alone. When Marcus opened the door and told me to get inside, I stepped into that house carrying 22 years of training and a very specific set of intentions. The next morning, Marcus talked freely over coffee. He sat across the kitchen table, laptop open, and spent nearly 20 minutes explaining why everything that had happened was Carlos's fault. He never once mentioned any responsibility of his own. He never asked if Carlos was okay. He talked about his own stress, his own sacrifices, his own future plans, including someone named Victoria, a name I filed away immediately. I said very little. Silence does that to arrogant people. It makes them fill the space with the truth. Over the following days, I moved through that house like I was clearing a building. Methodical, patient. Every conversation went into a secure recording app. One-party consent. Perfectly legal in Virginia. Every document I found in Marcus's unlocked home office got photographed. Financial statements, loan applications, property records. One locked drawer, hidden key taped beneath a shelf, predictable, yielded a folder labeled simply, joint accounts. What was inside made my jaw tighten. Signatures that looked close to Carlos's, but not identical. I sent everything to Robert Gaines, a former Navy JAG attorney I'd trusted for a decade. His reply came back at 12:47 a.m. "Call me in the morning. We have a problem." What Robert found was significant. Large transfers made in the weeks before Marcus forced Carlos out. documents that may have carried forged signatures, hidden debts that explained the desperation behind Marcus's behavior. He wasn't just selfish. He was cornered, and cornered men make mistakes. Marcus made plenty. He signed things without reading them. He moved money, assuming no one was watching. He argued with Victoria on his back porch one evening, not realizing my military training had given me sharp ears and patience. People are asking questions. He snapped into the phone. The call ended badly. Victoria, it seemed, had less loyalty to a sinking ship than to the fantasy of a successful man. Affairs tend to work that way. 3 weeks in, the pressure began arriving by mail. Letters from financial institutions. Requests for clarification. Nothing catastrophic individually, but every lie needs maintenance, and Marcus had been lying for years. I watched the confident man who had once lounged comfortably on that couch begin pacing the house at night, checking his phone, drinking more than usual. Then came the morning I'd been waiting for. Carlos arrived at the house, not alone, with Robert, with documentation, with the quiet, grounded confidence of a man who had been given time to remember who he was. Marcus was standing in the living room when we walked through the door together. 2 identical faces. His expression shifted through confusion, then recognition, then something close to genuine fear. "My name is Daniel," I said calmly. "Carlos's brother. I've been here for 3 weeks." The color left his face completely. Robert placed a folder on the coffee table. "Mr. Marcus, I'd suggest reviewing these carefully." What followed wasn't dramatic. No screaming, no dramatic confessions. Just a man sitting across a table, page by page, watching the paper trail of his own choices build a case against him. Financial reviews, mediation sessions, legal filings, the slow, unglamorous machinery of accountability. Marcus eventually apologized to Carlos. Not the defensive kind, the kind that cost something. "I blamed everyone but myself," he said, and his voice actually shook. "That was me. All of it." Carlos listened. Then he said something that surprised even me. "I'm not ready to forgive you, but I'm also done carrying the weight of your choices." 6 months later, I sat in a folding chair in Carlos's backyard at a cookout. Tom flipping burgers, Frank from next door telling old stories to anyone who'd listen, neighbors dropping off dishes, kids running through the grass. Carlos stood near the grill, laughing at something Tom said. His shoulders were straight. The tension I'd seen at that gas station, the look of a man who'd forgotten he had value, was completely gone. I've walked into difficult situations all over the world. Some of them made the news. Most of them didn't. But sitting in that yard, watching my brother laugh like himself again, I realized something. The most important missions are often the ones no one assigns you. The ones you choose because someone you love needs you to show up. Your value does not belong to the person who spent years convincing you it did. It belongs to you. It always has. Sometimes all someone needs is for another person to stand beside them long enough for them to remember that. Share.